Most important thing in business is honesty, integrity, hard work, family. Never forgetting where we came from.
Welcome to the Network Show. I'm your host, Lawrence Wingate.
And I'm your host, Nancy White. And we have the incredible, handsome, smart, intelligent Brian K. McNeill. And he is the most amazing sales coach that I have ever heard.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I'm super excited to be here with both of you guys. I've been fans of both of you for many years. One of the things I'm very, very proud of is that you've taken some of my workshops and even gotten certificates. So I love those pictures, and I love the great counsel you've given me over the years. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, Brian.
Well, we're also a fan of yours as well. We've been following you and your wife's career, and we can't be more pleased to see your success.
Praise God. I'm happy to hear that.
You inspire me as well.
Wow. Wow.
Yep.
So now, in the last episode, we asked your wife about her journey from what she did before she got where she at today. We want to ask you the same question: is you being the person that you are today, the entrepreneur that you are, who were you before then? What was your journey that led you to that path to be Brian K. McNeill?
Great question.
Yes.
I think the impetus had to come from young Brian McNeill, 23 years old, with a young wife. And she showed up at my job. I was the front desk clerk at a hotel. And she showed up at my job, and she never showed up at my job with a sweet smile on her face and said, "Brian, they did talk to you." So I come around, "Yeah, baby, what's up?" "Brian, we're pregnant." And we were so excited. We were so happy. I was giddy because we wanted a child. And then as soon as that giddiness died down, I was like, "Oh shoot, I need to make more money."
Babies cost money.
Yes. I
Remember
need to
that
make more
babies
money.
cost money.
Yes.
Yeah.
So even though I enjoyed my job, but that was the first thing. I need to make significantly more money than what I'm making right now. And as a front desk clerk, you see business people come in every week,
Right.
and very often they would say, "Brian, you'll be great in sales. You'll be great in sales." And I didn't know what that meant. I didn't have any mentor to tell me to go into sales. But they said, "You'll be great in sales. You'll be great in sales." So, and this is many years ago. I'm 51 now. I was 23 then. So I looked in the newspaper under sales categories, and there were several job sales. Now, I knew I didn't know anything about sales, so I was looking for entry-level sales.
Okay.
And I found one, and I set up an appointment, went on a job interview, and the gentleman interviewed me, but he did a sales presentation on me. And I was like, wow, I could sell that. So he hired me for a straight commissioned sales job.
That means no money.
No money.
Yes. You don't sell, you don't eat.
No money.
That's it. But I was so young and I didn't know anything better.
You're hungry.
I was hungry. And I was excited. I was like, if he could do it, that presentation was so smooth, I didn't realize how much of a professional he was to make it look that easy.
Yeah.
So he hired me and I took the job. I went through their training consisted of, it was home improvement company. And the training consisted of how to measure homes, how to measure windows, how to demonstrate the products. And that was it. I knew all the product knowledge.
I got
Okay. And I
No
knew how
people.
to measure and I knew how to price a job.
Okay.
But I didn't know how to sell a job.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's an entire different thing. And so gung ho Brian, they just said, "Go get it." And no one was buying from me. I was the worst salesperson there. They had 15 salespeople in the office, all men at the time. And they had a leaderboard.
Okay.
That means every month the top salesperson's name got put on the top of the board. Then second and third and fourth, it was 15 of us. And my name was always at the bottom. Okay? The bottom one. So because I was on the bottom, none of the other salespeople would even talk to me. Okay?
Wow.
They had a rule that if you sold the night before, because we had a sales meeting every day, only the people that sold the day before could talk in the sales meeting. So I couldn't talk at all, hardly.
That must have been hard for you, Brian.
I was sitting there and listening. You had to go.
Yeah.
So I would listen to their war stories about how great they
Yeah.
were. And I will tell you both, these guys were not my kind of people. They were not scrupulous.
Yeah.
They were saying things like, "That lady doesn't even know what she bought, ha, ha, ha." And it would just drive me crazy.
Yeah.
How can these guys be so low and not make make all of this money. They handed out paychecks every Friday, and they did it publicly, okay, the way they did it. And here's how they do it. They would have, however you want to do that, please throw it away. Thank you. But the way they would do it is they had a long circular oval table, and they would hand out the checks like this. And everyone's seated around the table. They go, here's a man with a check over $1,000. Here's another man with a check over $1,000. Here's another man with a check over $1,000. So if you didn't make $1,000 that week, you were like considered low and weak. They wanted you to make at least $1,000 every week. Yeah. Okay. So this is what my introduction to sales was, and I was 8 months. I was in the game, terrible at it, terrible. The training was hang in there. Several times I tried to quit, and he wouldn't let me quit. He wouldn't let me quit.
I know he's getting free work out of it.
Yes, running all these leads, and you're running 50 to 60 leads a month. Okay, 2 or 3 of them a day. Yeah. So, but it was a hot day in August in Wake Forest, North Carolina, and my first appointment was at 11 a.m. My second appointment was at 6 p.m. and it was hot. My first appointment blew out. They weren't even home. And I was too insecure to cold call or prospect or knock doors. So I went looking for AC, and I went into a used bookstore. Okay. And by providence, I ended up in the business section. And by blind luck, I ended up putting my hand on a book called How to Master the Art of Selling by Tom Hopkins. Okay. And the book sold for $5. And I had $5 on me. And that was all the money I had on me. That was my lunch money for the day. And I felt like I needed that book. And I went to the counter, the book was $5, and then with the tax, it came to like $5.60 something or $5.70 something. And I didn't have the overage. And I told the guy, I said, I think I need this book, but all I have is $5. He goes, you need to have the book then. And he sold it to me for my $5. I didn't eat lunch that day. Tom Hopkins wrote that book. His picture was on the cover. And I found myself a shaded place, and I started reading the book. And page 4 of that book, it talked about how you can't fail in the field of sales. Right. How you can't fail if you would just do what you're supposed to do. And at that time in my life, my esteem was so battered, I needed somebody to tell me why I could succeed and why I can't fail.
To believe in you.
Yes. And I read it in that book. So Tom became my first sales mentor, de facto. So I would read those pages, and then the car I had was a small compact car. So I could sit in the driver's seat, read the book, and then when my time came to go, I could just reach over and slide underneath the passenger seat on the floor. And then when I had a moment, I'd pick it back up. And as I turned the pages, I started to get a little bit more effective. I was so green and growing, I would do anything he said to do. So I finished that book, and I started to be a little bit more effective. And immediately I picked up another book. The second book I got was Zig Ziglar's Secrets to Closing the Sale.
Zig Ziglar.
Yes, lucky again. So and that book was just how to close the sale. So I started reading that book and just kept turning the pages, and I got a little bit more effective. The third book I got was Og Mandino's book, The Greatest Salesman in the World, which is the first book I always recommend anyone reads when you want to get your mind right to be great. It's no nuts and bolts, but it mentally prepares you to be awesome. So I read that book, and it just kept going one after another after another. And when I finished the books, I would just get another one. And some of them were dreadful, and some of them were very helpful, but I felt like I could get any nugget out of any book. And as I turned pages, one of the books said you should read 30 minutes to an hour before you go to work. So I was reading 30 minutes to an hour before I went to work every day. So you show up at work warmed up. And I started to climb the leaderboard. And then I started to win Salesperson of the Month all the time. Okay. And because I was studying so much, I told my sales manager, I said, look, you give a meeting here every day. Anytime you need someone to do 15 minutes or half an hour, I could do 15 minutes or half an hour at a moment's notice. You don't even have to prepare me. I can teach something, okay? So the opportunity came. And I got up there and I gave a talk for like 15 minutes on how to sell and how to go get your money. And everyone's like, wow, that was so motivational, Brian, that was great. And so I started doing the sales meetings. And he got moved away and I became the sales manager. But I was a selling sales manager. That means I still had to make sales too.
Correct.
And then I wrote a report called The 22 Must Closes. 22 ways I thought everyone should know how to sell, how to ask for money. Some ways you do it before when you show your rates, when you show your rates, when there's a little bit of resistance, when there's a lot of resistance, and when you're trying to get kicked out. What do you do? And I started teaching that. The company had 17 offices, and I became the corporate sales trainer. And then I started getting some body blows. People were saying stuff like, "Where's your book, Brian?" And I didn't have one. Or, "That's the best sales training I ever got before. Why are you doing it for them? Why don't you do it for yourself?" And I was thinking, oh my gosh. And then this thing started getting bombarded. This is great. This is great. And Tom Hopkins and Zig Ziglar and my heroes were doing what I wanted to do. And everybody was saying my stuff is great. And I was killing it in sales, you know. I had a thing where I felt like I could outsell the next two people put together. So if I was gonna be number one, I don't care who number 2 and 3 was, whatever their production did combined, I wanted to exceed that.
So that was sort of self-propelled, and that was self-motivating to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
you challenged yourself.
I did. And the opportunity came, I just couldn't take it anymore. I wanted to hang out my own shingle. And I started a company called Rhino Sales and Seminars.
Okay.
Rhino Sales and Seminars.
Rhino.
Yep, it was from
Rhino, I love it.
the book Rhinoceros Success by Scott Alexander. And in the book, he compared characteristics of a rhinoceros with a great entrepreneur. You know, thick skins, not great hearing, poor eyesight, those kinds of things. And it kind of struck a chord with me. So rhinos became my thing since then.
Okay.
And when I started my company, I had a lot of success up front, and then less and less and less and less until there was no money. And then I had to go back into a job. So I failed the first time I tried it, okay? But then I would go back into sales, and I would end up becoming a top dog again. And then I was like, it would hurt, because I wanted to not do it for them. I wanted to do it
For
myself.
yourself,
Yes, it would get painful. So I tried again, and it was the same pattern. I would go into my own business gung-ho. First month, first 2 months, I make a lot of money, and then less and less and less until there was no money. And then you got a mortgage, you got bills, you got to go back to work. So that's what happened, and it took me 4 tries.
Okay.
4 tries to make
you
it stick.
did not give up.
No.
That's the main thing for entrepreneurship, I think.
I
that
tried
a lot of
again.
people,
Yep.
You know. So, well, Lawrence, is there something that you'd love to ask Brian? He's given us great information about his journey.
You talked about how you were the young Brian K. McNeill. Now, we want to know from that time period to how you met your wife.
Okay.
But we will answer that after the commercial break.
Yes,
Fair
you
enough.
have to come back to hear that answer.
Woo!
Be right back.
Hello, everyone. I'm standing next to the beautiful, talented, inspiring, and inspired Miss Lisa Santiago McNeill. Miss Lisa Santiago McNeill is a coach's coach. She's a publisher. She's a keynote speaker. She's also as a host of a daily show, Lisa Santiago McNeill.
And I have the auspicious opportunity to be standing next to Brian K. McNeill. He is the world's recognized authority on selling services. He is a fantastic keynote and sales coach and trainer extraordinaire.
We both also are authors, and we're looking forward to working with you. We have this opportunity to tell you some of the things that together as the empowerment duo we are doing. One of the things we do is a daily show, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. until 10 a.m. It's called
Let's Talk About It.
And Let's Talk About It. We do 3 things. We have personal conversations,
Business information.
and spiritual inspiration.
Because you need all 3 to be successful.
We believe that authors should be
Speakers,
and
speakers,
should be,
authors,
and both of them are.
entrepreneurs.
We also believe in economic
Independence,
through.
entrepreneurship.
So those are our central tenets. You can catch our show on the SIBN network on iHeartRadio, YouTube, TuneIn, as well as Facebook Live.
Absolutely. We hope that you join us Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. or join us for some of our networking events.
We do a fantastic networking event every first Friday of the month. It's called the Empowerment Circle. It's networking unlike any other. It's probably the best networking event in our city. But you have a chance to really be heard, and you have a chance to learn something.
And on the first and third of every month, first and third Tuesday of every month, you can join us for Male Empowerment Networks and
Women Empowerment Networks from 6:30 to 8 p.m. on the first and third Tuesday of each calendar month. We do that. We've been doing it since 2013, actually.
long before we actually even met.
Yep, she was operating Women's Empowerment Network in one city. I was doing Male Empowerment Network in another. And in 2015, we got in the same city and did it together. But Male Empowerment Network is a place for men and teenage men to be heard because men need men.
And Women Empowerment Networks is a place and a space for women to be celebrated, uplifted, and inspired through entrepreneurship. And we're looking forward to seeing you there. Thank you so much for your time today.
God bless. Thank you.
Welcome back. We are back with Lawrence Wingett, Nancy White, and the infamous Brian K. McNeill.
Tis I.
I know. And so before we left, you had asked a question.
I asked Bryant, being a young Bryant to where you are now, how did you meet your wife?
Okay. Fantastic question. First off, I'm extremely blessed. I have an amazing wife. But I've been married for 19 years. Okay. Over 3 different women, and the current wife I've only been married to for 3 years.
I know.
The not current, the last.
Yes.
Okay, the last wife.
Yes.
And she's amazing. But I actually met her. It's so funny. In 2015 is when actually 2014. Our friend Bill Franklin.
Yes.
Called me up. I was living in Greensboro, North Carolina, and Bill Franklin, Steve Gaddard had a group called the Street Smart Forum.
Mm-hmm.
The Street Smart Forum. And I had been a regular member of the forum when I lived in Charlotte, but I had moved away. Mm-hmm. And one of the people that was in the forum, Steve Gaddard's event, Bill Franklin, and Lisa Santiago was in that forum. Mm-hmm. And Bill Franklin thought that Lisa was a dynamo, but she has no idea how to sell herself. Okay? And because, they go around and introduce themselves, and she just gave terrible answers, or at least answers they couldn't understand. How does she make any money? She doesn't. So Bill Franklin knows I'm a sales coach, so he called me up. He says, Brian, there's this woman that comes to the meeting. She's a dynamo, but she has no idea how to sell. Teach her how to sell herself so she can earn some money. We love her, but she doesn't know how to sell. So he asked me to teach this lady how to introduce what she does. Okay. So he gave me her phone number. So I didn't know her. So I called her up. I looked her up on Facebook. I always research everybody I'm a contact.
Always do your research.
I think it's vain for you not to research them. I check them out on LinkedIn, I check them out on Twitter, and I check them out on Facebook. How could you be so vain to not? Because you can check them out.
Exactly.
So I'll check out anybody I'm going to call. Mm-hmm. So I had checked her out. I saw a lot of pictures of her. I saw her casual in business, and I knew she was doing a lot of things. I saw a lot of pictures with her, a mic in her hand, and her doing some stuff. Okay, so I feel like I can help this lady. So I gave her a call. I said, how you doing? My name is Brian McNeill, and please tell me, what is it that you do for a living? And she gave me a terrible answer, too. And I said, well, a friend of ours asked me to give you a call, and can I offer you something, I'm going to pretend I do what you do, and I tried to show her of a better way, and she just wasn't feeling it, okay? She goes, no, I don't need any sales coaching. She didn't know me from anything. Yeah. So we got off the phone. I called Bill. I said, Bill, I called her. She wasn't with it. Oh, well, let it go.
Tried.
A year later, I was doing workshops called how to be a superstar salesperson, how to sell yourself like a superstar. 3-hour-long workshops. And there was this organization in Charlotte called Business Club. And Business Club had 12 locations, and they kept asking me to join their clubs, Steel Creek and Uptown and all that. And I was like, sure. I was joining all their clubs. Okay. Low risk to me.
It's interesting because I sat on the board of directors when we created the Business Club.
See? Well, Business Club is how I met her.
Yes.
So I wanted to bring my workshop to Charlotte, how to sell your services like a superstar. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to market through Business Club. Okay. And they was like, no, you can't market through us. And I was like, are you kidding me? You guys asking me to join you the first time I want to use you. Now I'm upset. So I wondered, who's in charge of this thing? And Lisa was in charge. She was the president of Business Club.
Yeah.
All right.
So I called her up. I found out how to reach her, and I got on the phone with her, and I didn't remember I had talked to her the year before. Okay. And I was like, look, you guys try to get me to join you. I join you the first time I want to use your services. You're telling me no, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like upset. Mm-hmm. How could you dare? You want something from me? You don't want to give me nothing? And she listened to all of that, and she goes, well, she wanted to explain why they couldn't do it the way I wanted it done. Mm-hmm. And then she said, but what we can do is this. We can promote your services through my networks, not through Business Club, and that's what she did. She started promoting. She did just what she said. She was wonderfully helpful. And 2 weeks before the workshop, she asked, could we start praying for the success of my event?
Okay.
And I said 7 a.m. Okay, so I want to wake up at 7 a.m. So we started calling each other at 7 a.m. every morning to pray for the success of my event. And that was good. We did it for 2 weeks. And the day of the event, I was living in Greensboro. I drove in early to Charlotte, and I'm by myself. I had rented a venue with round tables and all that, and I'm setting up my coffee, and I'm trying to set up the projector screen, and I'm making sure everything is set up. The lady I had hired to take the tickets and take money and all that, she hadn't showed up yet.
Oh.
So I'm by myself, okay? I'm trying to get the room together, and the room was carpeted, but in the hallway was linoleum. And I heard some heels click, click, click. And I looked up, and this beautiful woman comes in the room. She had a tall mohawk and heels and a short skirt on. And I was like, wow, she's gorgeous. It was Lisa. She was the first person to show up. And I've never been this smooth before in my life, okay? But I was smooth in that moment. Okay. So she came. We had been praying together, so I knew who she was. I'd seen her pictures, but I had never seen her in person.
Yes.
That was my first time seeing her in person. So she came. Now I know how to ballroom dance. Okay. So I extended my hand, and she extended her hand too. So I swung the lady out, and I spun the lady, and I brought the lady home. She fell right into the dance move. You know, I spun her smooth. I brought her right home, kissed her on her cheek, and then I spun her out like that. And she,
My dog.
I've never done that before.
I gotta try that one.
And if I had thought about it, I probably would have did it then. But she came and she saw what was going on, and she immediately started helping me. So she kind of like took over, okay, so I could focus on my workshop. So she took over everything, and she even started running the lady that came to take the tickets and all that. She helped make sure everyone, became the host right away.
Yeah.
She made sure everyone was seated and all of that, and so she took over so I could focus on giving a great workshop instead of doing all that other stuff. And then after that was, the first workshop was done, she listened to me speak for 3 hours.
Wow.
And after that was done, she knew I was out of town. You want to go to lunch? Like, sure. We went to lunch together and went to Punta Cana, and she ordered in Spanish. So I thought that was kind of cool. And but I was given 2 of them the same day. I was given one at 10 a.m., 10 to 1, and then again from 7 to 9, 7 to 10. Okay, I gave 2 of them the same day, and she came back in the evening.
Both of them.
She did both. Okay,
Wow.
so the first day I met her in person, she helped me do 2 3-hour workshops immediately.
Yeah.
And
And she still wasn't getting paid.
no,
She said,
but she probably became my wife that day.
no.
Okay.
That's amazing.
Now, see, that's a story, I love to hear because, what Nancy and I always do, we always tell our clients that, hey, you're only stronger as your network. And to have somebody in your house that's part of your network,
Yes.
it's even amazing.
It is amazing, and it's better than I can describe. Actually,
Yeah.
Yep. So that's what happened. We found we could work together, and then she would bring me into any event she had. I was looking for any excuse to come back to Charlotte, and she put on an event like a couple of weeks later, and she had 2 speakers already. She was one of them, and then she asked me to be the 3rd speaker. So it was something at her church, and I came, and that was the first time her and I had presented on the same platform.
Okay.
So the first speaker spoke, and they were okay, and I ended up being the keynote, the closing speaker, and Lisa spoke, and she was great. She was great too. I had never heard her give a talk before that moment. She was great, and I came, and I did my thing. I did a good job. So after it was over, when I was standing with her, people kept referring to it as if we were a couple. And we didn't know we were a couple yet.
It was prophecy.
They all thought it,
Yeah.
we was just standing with each other. It was afterwards, and you guys are a great couple together. We are, okay.
Seeds are planted.
Sometimes it takes people on the outside to see what's going on in the inside.
I knew I liked her, but I didn't know I was in couplehood with her yet.
Oh,
Yep.
Well, that is great. So Brian, I love this story, and people love to hear about what it is behind what's going on. So, but thinking back, just reflecting back, you shared with us in the first part, some of your struggles that you went through. But in your entrepreneurial journey, if you looked back, what would be one thing that you would share with others that you would never ever do again, and that you could possibly help somebody else to save that time and money?
Two things, really. And these also some of the stories that ache when you tell them. But there have been several times where I quit just 3 feet too soon.
Yeah.
Just a little bit too soon. If I was willing to stick it out just a little bit past that dark, I would have reached that sunlight. So some of the times, one of the biggest crimes is quitting a little bit too soon.
Okay.
That's number one. And the other one is, and it took me some time to learn this, the concept of fit before fee. One of the biggest mistakes we make is to just take any client just because you need the money.
Right.
That's always a mistake. You got to make sure it's the right fit between you, your personality, the way you communicate, and them, their personality, the way they communicate.
Exactly.
But if it's not a good fit, it's just terrible for everybody concerned. So I really advocate fit before fee.
That's fantastic. And then if you do end up in that kind of situation or circumstances, I think that you can bless and release.
Yes, bless
Yes.
and release.
Yes.
You know, this is not working for me.
Yes.
I don't know how it is for you, but
Yes.
bless you. I
Yes.
want you to do well,
Yes.
but just not with me.
Yes.
Well, I would like to say, number one, again, you and your wife have inspired me
Wow.
to step up my game. You know, even though I've been in this game about 40 plus years, but I'm always looking for inspiration.
Yes, sir.
And you and your wife does that for me.
Thank you, thank you.
And as being the person that you are, how could one get in contact with you?
I'm very easy to find. I'm very public. You can call me. I'm so old school. You could call me. Okay. My phone number is 919-345-4893. That's 919-345-4893. I'm also available on LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn under either Brian K. McNeill or The Best Sales Coach. LinkedIn, The Best Sales Coach. On Facebook, you can find me under Brian Keith McNeill. Brian Keith McNeill. You can also schedule time if you want like 15 minutes. I offer a chance to do a free phone consultation, a free chance for you to taste test what I do. And I do that through my Calendly link, calendly.com, calendly.com/BK McNeill, BK McNeill, McNeill. I think that's it. My phone number, or LinkedIn, or Facebook, or my email. My website is briankmcneil.com. You can go to briankmcneil.com and learn some cool stuff, or you can email me directly under Brian, BRIAN, at briankmcneil.com. BRIAN, the letter K, McNeill.com.
That is
All right.
awesome. We appreciate it and had so much fun with you today,
Thank you.
Brian.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Oh, absolutely.
You're welcome. Well, that ends this episode of the Network Show. See you next week.
Most important thing in business is honesty. Integrity, hard work. Family. Never forgetting where we came from. So you are what you are in this world. That's either one or two things. Either you're somebody or you're nobody. Most important thing in business is honesty. Family. Never forgetting where we came from. So you are what you are in this world.